at an event in Utah, as everyone, pretty much everyone knows at this point, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And the first person I actually saw report this was, of all people, Cleave to Antiquity. I saw him report on X that there was a report that Charlie had been shot at an event in Utah. And I was, I guess, sort of hoping that it wasn't very serious. And then the news reports started to come out, and then the videos started to get posted on X, and it was beyond horrific. If you're on X and you've been following this and stuff, the videos over there are genuinely horrifying. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to hop on, process some of this out loud, because this has really affected me. Like, it really has. And I wasn't really expecting that. I mean, I did have a personal some personal interactions with Charlie. There was a video that I posted a little while back where I was criticizing some of his work in apologetics, actually. So he posted a video a while back about where he was like engaging with an atheist on campus, and he presented his case for the existence of God. And when I watched that video originally, I was like, he seems to have butchered some of the names of the arguments. He seems to have butchered the way that the arguments are presented and stuff. And so I produced a critique of Charlie's case. And that critique made it all the way to Charlie himself. And Charlie actually reached out and was like, hey, look, I'm still learning. I'd love to learn from you. Would you mind taking the video down? So I did. And we had some talks about possibly collaborating together to, over the summer, in fact, to talk about apologetics and get him more familiar with the landscape. That never came to fruition. Unfortunately, I'm sure that it was just because he was too busy. He just had, I mean, if you follow his stuff, like, he just has a lot going on. But what that interaction with Charlie showed me, because I was like critiquing him. So I saw a side of Charlie of someone who is critiquing his work and how he responded to it. And how he responded to it was a sort of openness to being wrong, and that he wanted to learn. And that so what that showed me is that he really does care about the truth. Like, he wanted to get to the bottom of it and learn more. And that sort of humility, like, he didn't come at me arrogantly. He came at me humbly. Like, I and relative to his platform and his influence and stuff, I'm relatively small. Okay. Yet he wanted to learn from me and said some really nice things about me. And that, I think that does show his character. Now, as for my own feelings on the situation, as I mentioned, like, I took this actually pretty hard. I wasn't expecting it. Part of it is because I kind of had some interactions with him, but the main thing here is a concern about safety. Like, I know that Steven Crowder just posted something on X this morning about how the gun, written on the bullets of the gun that they found, was transgender ideology and anti-fascist sort of sentiments and stuff. And so this is clearly, I mean, before that had kind of broke, we already knew that this was like some sort of politically motivated incident, right? I mean, there's no other conclusion that you can draw. But what it tells us, what it tells someone like me who's in an influence, who's in a position of influence, is if we don't like what you're saying, we're going to resort to violence. And in the case of Charlie, he has a really big following, so that's why he was targeted. But what happens when they start to target smaller people? If that's going to be a thing, or if, say, Capturing Christianity gets bigger, what's going to happen? And but I think the deeper thing here is that what people are doing is, instead of debating, because that's what Charlie was known for. He was known for debating and sharing his ideas in a completely peaceful fashion. That's what he was known for. And then how that's being met is with, like, unspeakable violence. And that is, I don't get it. I don't understand why people feel the need to do that. Like, I've been debating atheists on my channel when I was really into atheistic apologetics for the majority of the ministry. That's what I was focused on, and not in a single moment was I worried, oh, well, if I if I say enough bad things about atheism, then I'm going to be targeted violently by this group. Never once did I have that concern. But now, like, I guess I need to be concerned about that. And it, by extension, we kind of all do. Like, if you speak out about this and someone finds out and they're crazy enough, then, like, just beware. Like, you might get shot. And then I think about Charlie's wife and their kids, and how people online, like even people that I saw on Facebook, were just celebrating the fact that this man with a wife and 2 small children is now dead, and like he deserves it. Like I can't even process that type of, it's an anti-Christian sentiment, but it's becoming more deeply ingrained in society, like clearly being more ingrained in society. And it's resulting in what we're seeing. So the Christian values that have sort of been imbued in American culture and in the Western culture more generally, we're starting to lose a grip on that. We're starting to deviate away to something else, to something maybe even demonic. Like, you may disagree with the guy. Okay, I had my own disagreements, but that doesn't mean that he deserves to be killed. That's not the way that this works. And I also saw the way that conservatives were responding to this. I saw that there's a difference of opinion on how we should be reacting and how should we be moving forward with this. I saw Matt Walsh. He was like, I'm not backing down at all. I'm going to be doubling down. I'm going to be going to college campuses and speaking out, and basically, the legacy that Charlie left behind. Like, I'm going to continue that, and I'm going to be bold about it. And that's sort of Matt's position. And then I was watching a live stream earlier with Tim Pool, and Tim Pool's like, no, I'm not going to college campuses. No, I'm not doing that. And his reasoning was completely reasonable. Completely reasonable. He's like, I reach millions of people on my YouTube channel a month. Why would I sacrifice all of that to reach, a few hundred people in person at a campus where my safety can't be promised? What's the rationale in doing that? And I think he's right. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So how do we actually, like, what is the correct response here? And I wish I had more answers. Like, I wish I could give you guys some deep insight into how I'm thinking about this, how the conservative movement more broadly is thinking about this. One thing that does come to mind, though, is one of Charlie's tweets that he tweeted out fairly recently, in fact. And he said, in his tweet, it's all about Jesus. It's all about Jesus. And I think he's absolutely right. I think he is absolutely right. Jesus, it's all about Jesus, but Jesus is also the answer. Okay. Now, as Christians, we often hear that and we're like, okay, yes, Jesus is the answer. But what does that look like in the way that we respond to something like this practically? What does it look like? I think what it looks like is, because we're starting to lose grip, the culture starting to lose grip on these Christian values, they need to be reintroduced into the culture. They need to be imbued back into the culture. And how do we do that? How did the early Christians do that? Well, they did it completely non-violently, obviously, but they did it without wavering. They shared the good news. They took the Great Commission seriously. They did it. Okay. They actually did it. They didn't go to work and, get overwhelmed by social anxiety and then stop spreading the good news. No, they spread the good news in the midst of serious persecution. Serious persecution. And that's what we need to do. We need to get over ourselves. Get over yourself, your shortcomings, your downfalls. I don't know everything. How am I going to convince my coworker that Jesus loves them? Like, you have to get over it. You have to get over it. You have to share the good news. And in some way, we all have to be like Charlie. We all have to be bold like him. You may not have this huge following. You may not be, this really awesome debater or this huge influencer. That may not happen for you. What you can do, like Charlie, is be bold for Jesus. Okay, he was very bold for Jesus. No one can deny that. No matter what your disagreements with the guy over your political views or whatever else, he was very bold for Jesus. That's what we need. It's exactly what we need. It's what you need to do. It's what I need to do. With everyone. With everyone. Not the people that you're comfortable with, not with your friends, not with your small group or your group of friends just talking theology and talking about, like, you need to go to the people that are not Christians and talk to them about Jesus. It's we have to. You need to do it. And in this way, we also ensure that his legacy lives on. Charlie did not die for nothing. It's time to share the message and love of Jesus Christ. It's time to do it. Go do it.